In the Bible, Jabez, sometimes spelled Jabez in older or alternate translations, is a relatively obscure but significant character mentioned in the Old Testament. His story is found in 1 Chronicles 4 verses 9 to 10. Though brief, his account stands out due to his prayer and God's favorable response. Now Jabez was more honorable than his brothers, and his mother called his name Jabez, saying, "Because I bore him in pain." And Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, "Oh, that you would bless me indeed, and enlarge my territory, that your hand would be with me, and that you would keep me from evil, that I may not cause pain." So God granted him what he requested. 1 Chronicles 4 verses 9 to 10, NKJV. Jabez in Hebrew is Yab, which is closely related to the word for pain or sorrow. His mother named him this because she bore him in pain, possibly referring to physical, emotional, or circumstantial hardship. His character was described as more honorable than his brothers. This may imply integrity, faith, or righteous living. In a genealogical list filled with names, this moral commendation sets Jabez apart. Jabez prayed for 4 key things. 1. Bless me indeed, a bold and earnest plea for God's favor. 2. Enlarge my territory, possibly a literal expansion of land, but often interpreted spiritually, increase of influence, responsibility, or opportunity. 3. That your hand would be with me, asking for divine presence, guidance, and strength. 4. Keep me from evil, that I may not cause pain, a desire to live uprightly and avoid inflicting suffering, perhaps tied to the meaning of his name. God granted him what he requested. Jabez's prayer was answered, showing God's willingness to respond to sincere and faithful petitioners. This has made the prayer of Jabez a model for personal devotion in many Christian circles. Theological significance. Faith and boldness. Jabez approached God with faith and asked boldly. God's generosity. The passage illustrates God's responsiveness to prayer. Personal transformation. Jabez sought to rise above his origin, a name associated with pain, by seeking God's blessing. Life lessons from the story of Jabez. 1. Your past does not define your future. Jabez was given a name that meant pain because of his birth circumstances. Despite this negative start, he refused to be limited by his identity or past. Lesson: no matter your background, labels, or pain, your future can be different when you walk with God. 2. God honors bold, faith-filled prayers. Jabez didn't just wish for a better life, he prayed boldly and specifically. He asked for blessing, expansion, God's presence, and protection, and God granted it. Lesson: we should not be afraid to ask God for big things. He welcomes bold, sincere prayers. 3. Desire for God's blessing is good and biblical. Jabez prayed, "Bless me indeed." This wasn't a selfish request, it was a desire for God's favor and purpose in his life. Lesson: it's okay and even wise to ask God to bless your work, family, and future, when done with the right heart. 4. Expansion should be for God's glory, not personal gain. Enlarge my territory can be interpreted as asking for greater influence, responsibility, or opportunity to serve. Lesson: when asking for more, our motive should be to impact others positively and honor God, not just gain comfort or control. 5. The presence of God is essential. Jabez prayed, "that your hand would be with me." He understood that success without God is empty. Lesson: in all we pursue, we must seek God's presence and guidance, not just his gifts. 6. Protection from evil is a necessary prayer. He ended his prayer with a request to be kept from evil and not cause pain. He wanted to break the cycle of hurt his name suggested. Lesson: we must constantly ask God to protect our hearts, actions, and decisions so we don't harm others or ourselves. 7. God responds to sincere faith. The most powerful part: God granted him what he requested. Lesson: God listens and responds to hearts that are humble, sincere, and full of faith. Spiritual application. Jabez's story teaches that transformation is possible, even from a painful start. Prayer changes things. Faith-filled boldness pleases God. Your life can be a blessing, not a curse, no matter where it began. Jabez's prayer is not about prosperity. It's about purpose. It's not about comfort. It's about calling. It is the testimony of a man who looked beyond pain, reached toward heaven, and believed that God had more for him, and through him. You can pray this way. You can live this way. You can believe this way. Because in the hands of God, your life can be a blessing, not a burden. A testimony, not a tragedy. A calling, not a curse. And remember, people may forget the words you speak, but they will never forget how your faith made them feel.